again for coming. So I'm Samantha and I work in the Office Neighborhood Life. I want this to be, I know this is like set up like a presentation, but there's not many of us here. And the most important thing I think is that you get some of your questions answered about housing and living out in the neighborhood. So I know you're out, but like I want you to participate, and when we get through a couple of like the main things I want to hit home, I'd love to hear your questions and just kind of see what you're thinking of. So first, to start off, just to get an idea, by show of hands, how many of you are sophomores versus, okay, so sophomores, raise your hand. Like most of you, okay, and then juniors? Okay, awesome. Okay, so you're probably at the point where you're starting to think about like, okay, do I want to, live in one of the townhouses with residential living, or maybe in LSR, or like what am I feeling? Do I want to live off campus? So really, we want to be able to answer your questions about all of that. And given that most of your sophomores, I'll try to tailor the information because you're not locked and loaded in a lease yet. So this is kind of the main things we're going to cover, and then we'll take questions. Okay, so when you're thinking about like where exactly do I want to live, so Georgetown has these surrounding communities. There's West Georgetown, and I'm the community director of West Georgetown, and then there's Burleaf, which is another neighborhood you've probably been to, heard about. There's the Cloisters, and there's also Foxhall, which a lot of our medical students live in, and it's a little further up. So as you start to think about, okay, which neighborhood do I want to live in, there's different policies, there's a different vibe in each neighborhood, there's oftentimes a different price point, so that's something you want to think about. The majority of our students live in group homes where there's, between 2 and 6 of you sharing a townhome, and that's proven to be the most cost-effective thing. So if you're thinking like averages and costs in terms of townhomes, the lowest that I've seen is in the like 800 range, sharing with students, all the way up to 2,000, depending on what kind of place you live in. So it is a bit pricey. Just keep that in mind as you're starting to evaluate, okay, do I want to live within Georgetown or outside of Georgetown? So one thing that our office maintains is this website, and it's called OCH Listings. If you want to grab this flyer, just so you have the website, you can. I'd say it's more heavily utilized by our graduate students because a lot of the ways that people find housing, or that we've found that you all find housing, is through word of mouth, through your friends that are out in the neighborhood that say, yeah, hey, this lease is going to be ready to renew. Do you want a place? And so that's where the majority of our undergraduates find housing. But if you want to gauge for prices, what these places look like, landlords, property management companies, our website has a lot of that. And the great thing about our website, and what we emphasize over and over again, is that we want you all to be living in safe housing. So a lot has been done over the years to make sure that you are living in a safe home, both by the surrounding community, by Georgetown University, and then our office is kind of the office that is there in the grit of it, making sure that's the case. So we work closely with various DC City agencies to make sure that these homes are up to date. So one thing is you're starting to look at homes that you can do, and it's very simple. I have the address up here. The Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs is the department that does housing stuff, regulates housing. So you can, in their system called PIVS, you can just simply type in your address or the address that you're considering living at, and it will show you if there's a basic business license in that home. So every rental in DC legally has to have a basic business license, and all it does is ensure that that home that you're going to live in meets the minimum health and safety standards designated by the city. So it's pretty important that your home has this. And like right now we have a big BBL project going on with DCRA where we are going in and inspecting properties. So just because the rental doesn't have a basic business license doesn't mean that you shouldn't live there, but it is certainly a red flag, or it's something that you're going to want to look into. Sometimes these rentals lapse, sometimes landlords spend a lot of time going in and redoing the home, and so they don't have that licensing. That's something that you can get, or you can request the city to come in and inspect. So if there are more juniors in the room and you've signed leases, this is something I'd go into a little bit more heavily. But considering that probably most of you haven't signed leases, as you're going about that process and looking, we definitely want you to be mindful of that. So one thing that we emphasize in greater detail in our orientation, but the sooner we can get the word out about this, the better. Before you sign a lease, make sure you read through the lease. As you're talking with your landlord or the property management company, as you're deciding, do I want to live there? They can be pretty intimidating documents, when they're over 20 pages long and full of legalese. But it's really important that you go through it. And that's something that our office, this is kind of like where we have this advisor role, we will read through a lease that you haven't signed with you. So you come back junior year and you're like, I really love this house. I'm working with this landlord. I want to have this document, help me sift through this. Are there some sneaky clauses in there that are going to hold me to something that I am not about? That's where we want to protect you. So we both have in our office, in the Office of Neighborhood Life, we have law students in court once a month where there's a practicing attorney in our office that will give you free legal advice. We also work with folks over at the Office of the Tenant Advocate through DC, and OTA gives out free legal advice. So one thing we say is that DC is a very tenant-friendly city, and there are a lot of free resources to help you to protect you from any of the crazy scamming or bad stuff that goes on with leases. So we would advise that either, one, before you sign a lease, if you can see the property yourself. I know a lot of students go abroad, and that's something where oftentimes you're like, shoot, I gotta sign a lease, like I can't see this home. Number one, try to see the home. Try to do a walkthrough, talk to your friends or whoever it is that you're going into housing with. It's just really beneficial because some things, like we had a group of students this year that she came back from abroad and she had signed this lease digitally, and she realized that her room was actually wasn't really a room at all. There was just like a curtain for a door. And that was not something that she was okay with. So we definitely encourage you to take a look. So one thing, this postcard says, the whole concept is be choosy. Don't judge a house by its cover. The majority of you are sophomores. You have a lot of time to be out in the neighborhood to decide which housing you want if you are desiring of living off campus. It's none of this like, oh, if you don't sign a lease over in advance, then you're in trouble. Like, you have so much time because especially, so as you all are aware, something happened where Georgetown changed the 3-year live-on requirement. So this lowered the demand out in the neighborhood. There was a much bigger supply, and you can go out in the neighborhood right now and find housing for, if you're a junior, no problem, you could find housing. So we want to caution you all to take your time and speak to the landlord and read the lease. And if there's a landlord that's putting pressure on you, like, no, you need to sign this lease. There's 5 people, behind you that want this house. Like, just let it go. It's not worth the legal trouble that you could stumble into down the road from that pressure. So we just want to say, take your time. You can come into our office. We're open 9 to 5. We're here all summer. We would love to talk to you and say, hey, what home are you considering? We know a lot of landlords. We know a lot of property management companies, and although much of it's anecdotal and we're not going to publish it, because it really puts the university in a bad place, we can talk you through it. We have horror stories, and we also have really great stories. So that's something that, if you come into our office, as much as you want us to be involved in, as much advice, we would love to give it to you. And a lot of this stuff, when it comes to once you've signed a lease and you are excited about your house and you're all in, we will cover a lot of the other stuff, property maintenance, living in the neighborhood, policies, laws, in the mandatory on-campus orientation. So you will have to hear from me again, but it will be different information. So I really give you guys credit for coming here and caring, because I think that shows that you're going to protect yourself, especially when it comes to things like security deposits. So every single year, right around this time, we have groups of students coming into our office saying oh my gosh, I'm graduating in May, and my landlord is trying to withhold our security deposit, saying that we caused all this sorts of damage. And as you know, oftentimes with these security deposits, I mean, in DC it's legal to have a security deposit up to 1 month's rent. So some of these sums are like greater than $9,000 that landlords are withholding, and you want that back when you graduate. So to protect yourselves from that kind of trouble as you start thinking about signing a lease, and once you do, once you're moving into your home, the biggest thing that we want to hit home is to do a walkthrough of your property. Now, I don't expect you to grab one of these sheets and like hold on to it, for a couple years now. But that's something that we have at our office, and we also there's a startup company that was interested in this whole concept called Move in Space, and you could do this walkthrough of your property digitally. So that goes with communicating with your landlord. Once you sign a lease and you're all in, you're excited, before you move all of your stuff in, we would suggest that you schedule a walkthrough with your landlord so that you can see the property, you can see the damages that are already there, you can document everything with photos, with paper, so that you can say, hey, we did not cause this damage, this window was like this, there was this hole in the wall. Like, that's the kind of stuff you want to be able to cite ahead of time to protect yourselves, because you don't want to go to small claims court when you're trying to graduate. So this does happen, and we're just kind of saying be mindful of it at this point in time. In terms of communicating with your landlord, as much as you can do everything via email, just so that you have that paper trail when it comes to the end. So if you have one point person in your house, or if you're the contact, having dinner with your landlord, depending on how friendly they are, or texting them, and texting's a little bit better. But if you have that phone conversation, following up in the email, just reiterating everything that you talked about, clarifying terms in the lease will be very important down the road for you. So those are kind of the main points. You wanted to speak about housing, and then we can circle back if you guys have specific questions about neighborhoods, policies, laws, any of that kind of stuff, okay?
Is the photo in there?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be briefly talking about the money part of this a bit, which is splitting cost of roommates. So this is an actual email I got from when I used to live in a group house. It was not around here, because the monthly rent was $1,900. It was in Fairfax, Virginia. And so it was really great how she spelled out everything, like trash, electricity, gas, internet. It's really good to do that. Here's why. Because if someone is paying the internet with their credit card and someone else is paying for the housing through this group account that everyone sends checks to, it's going to get really crazy. And I've had many conversations like, well, I thought I did the check last week. Didn't you get the check from me? I left it under your door. Like, it gets really chaotic and bad. So her sending this out every month was super helpful, because as you can see, she even showed the exact math below. So if there were any issues, you could point out and be like, oh, well, I wasn't there the entire month of June. I shouldn't have to pay internet, which some people did that. And they were like, okay, that's great. So this split it amongst people that actually use the internet. So I really recommend getting down to the actual numbers for this. And I know that some of my experiences are that people will get a group bank account, and then they will send all the checks into that, and the landlord will take it from there. It's up to you to decide to do that, but that can cause a lot of messy strings, especially if someone moves out randomly, but they're still attached to that bank account. However, if it is all on one person and someone doesn't give the rent check, it's on that one person to make up that rent check as they're waiting for it. So you really have to either know the people you're living with or have some sort of agreement that you have in writing that if there is a default on a rent check, that you will get that somehow or something. So, yeah.
With like the rent checks, I've heard some landlords will not accept multiple checks. So what would you do in that instance?
Like I said, the group bank account is an option, but again, it's a lot riskier, because if someone just up and leaves, they may be you may be liable for their rent. I think, yeah, the multiple checks is difficult. It's all about the trusting your roommates. You have to pick the right ones, because that's the risk, is that someone's going to leave or not do it.
But just from what you've seen with landlords, like, is that uncommon, common?
I'd say that's more common, one check. Yeah.
That's how
one
landlords generally
roommate.
want you to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically.
Because like this person, who was Katie, she was the person that like the landlord talked to the entire time. So he took the entire $1,900 from her every month.
So it was just liable for like on one person, kind of.
Right, which is why that one person really needs to know who they're living with. And it became an issue with someone I lived, the person that just decided to stop paying. Like, well, it's only a month left or two, I have the money, we'll get back to you. again, that's it, picking your roommates is really important. It's possible to live with complete strangers. I would not recommend it unless you have some sort of, like I said, agreement that they will pay it, or if they don't pay it, here's what will happen. Also wanted to chat with you about finding Craigslist ads, because they may not be certified by the Better Business Bureau, so what do you think of that sort of thing? Like people renting out a room in their townhouse, but they're not certified. How's our protection against that?
So you're asking about protection against that, or?
Right, so let's say I rented I saw a Craigslist ad, or renting out a room in our little town from Georgetown. But what kind of protections would I have then if they're not certified by the BBO?
So once you've already started renting from them?
Yeah.
So it's a legit thing?
That's what I'm wondering, like, because you see Craigslist, who really thinks to ask, are you certified to a Craigslist room person? I know, like, at least there's comment from my friends, like, oh yeah, I saw this one room on Craigslist, and they just went.
Yeah, went for it. I mean, I think, like I said, again, it's important to check the website. If it's not, you can have the city come in and inspect the property. That's just definitely not something that we recommend.
Okay.
But it's kind of more like you take that, it's a risk, it's more of a risk.
Okay, that's all I have to say about splitting roommate bills. Any other questions regarding roommates or budgeting? Okay.
Cool, do you guys have questions about specific neighborhoods, tenant questions? I know you said you were a junior, have you already signed a lease, or are you?
Yeah, sorry, I think I made a mistake. I was under the impression this was required in possession.
Oh, I'm so sorry, yeah, that is not this one, but I'll see you in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, but at least you know some of these things, so you can look out. Are you living in your property in the summer?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So then you might want to take a couple of these things, just so you can do the walkthrough with your landlord and document everything ahead of time. Yeah.
Some people talking about summer living. Some people, like you sign a lease and it goes like, I don't know, June to June. And so then that first summer, let's say no one in your house is living there though, but you've already signed the lease. Are you legally allowed to have other people move in and pay the rent in that time?
It depends on your lease. Some landlords will explicitly write, you cannot sublease, you cannot have subletters in this home. And if that's the case, then no, don't do that. But if it's something that you can work out with your landlord, certainly, I would suggest coming up with a subletter's lease, so that you can kind of mimic the lease and have those stipulations in place. For example, we have a lot of problems in the fall where students come back, and if they didn't do a walkthrough of the property in the beginning when their lease started, say this coming June, they come at you all move in September or August, whatever that may be, once your subletter's gone. If the subletter's caused a whole bunch of damage and you've not passed that portion of security deposit that would be withheld for damages, or you've not passed those fines by the city onto them in some sort of a formal agreement, it's on you. So we have, I didn't bring them here, but we have just paper, very generic subletter leases, if that's something that you're considering doing, if your landlord gives you the green light. Because even something as small as, there was a house over on O Street that that got fined by the city, $150 fine for property maintenance, but in DC, like for property, you're in charge of your front door, like all the way 18 inches into the gutter, so you can get fined for property maintenance. So these students, the subletters didn't do anything all summer. They got fined, and there was no stipulation there. There was no sort of agreement that like you will cover these fines, and so they had to cover it. So just something to think about if that's what you're considering.
What kind of the price ranges in the different neighborhoods?
Price ranges, so we don't have hard data on that, but I would say overall Burleaf is less expensive. You're going to find better rates in Burleaf. West Georgetown, especially along Prospect Street and various places where there's a ton of group homes, it's going to be pricier. Like, wouldn't be surprised to see over $1,500 a person. So, but there's also, like I said, just browse OCH listings if you just want to gauge what's out there currently. I think a lot of summer things will be on there right now, maybe not full leases, but I just contacted the landlord even last week that was right on 35th Street, and hers was like 2,000 a room, and I was like, that's a little high for this area, because she was wondering, why is no one renting for the fall, and I'm like, it's a little pricey, so.
And roofs in townhouses tend to be doubles, right? Or, like, I know you can't generalize like that, but if it comes so you tend to be still living with the roommate, right?
It's all over the place with that. I wouldn't say, yeah. Oftentimes if it's like a 4 or 5 bedroom room, then you'll have at least one where students, to reduce the cost, will have a double.
And also another option, it's not as fun, but my senior year I lived in Virginia in Arlington, which is along the Metroway. It was cheaper, but I did have to commute in every day, paid up about an hour and a half of my day. But it was cheaper, and I was living with a partner at the time, so like, you can't do that in some official Georgetown houses, I think. I think you can't double up in like the Magic row houses or anything.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure about those row, or residential living.
So if you're living with someone, it might be easier to maybe move a little bit out or find places that are, you're sure can double up in the same room.
Yeah, absolutely. There's all kinds of perks and reduced costs for sure if you live out in Roslyn, which is, as you all probably know, right there by a metro stop and less than a mile from the university, and fewer annoying policies in the neighborhood about noise and trash and that kind of stuff, so it's an option. Glover Park is another great neighborhood that has some homes. It tends to be more young professionals and families, but it's just a little bit above relief. Yeah, as I said, I don't want to take any more of your time. If you have questions about specific places, our office is on the corner. It's a little yellow townhouse. It's on the corner of 36 and N. Open 9 to 5. So.
So come on again, the office.